guys, welcome back to how to be a bridge maker and not a gap creator. And today we are on part 3 of our video, which is stop being a gap creator. So let's get right into it. So the story I wanted to begin with was one that I think many Christians are familiar with, and maybe some of you guys that are listening might not be. So let me give you some backstory. So basically, it's the story of these demon-possessed men that is on the shore, and they have been shackled and left in the tombs because they're out of their mind. Basically, they've gone postal. Okay, they're just psychotic. And Jesus arrives on this shore, and you can find the story in Mark 5:1 and in Matthew 8:28 and Luke 8:26 is when the story begins. So you get the reference. So in some references, there's 2 people, so it says men, and then in another reference, it references 1 man. But I think the story is 1 man was more prominent than the other, or more remembered, maybe. That's, I guess, the best way. But in any case, they're just crazy. As Jesus gets on the shore, this particular man, anyways, runs to him. They start running to him, and of course the disciples turn around and we're like, we're out of here, we're ditching out. And you can see that they're obviously very scared, but although slightly comical when I think about it, I realize what Jesus was doing right there. He was confronting the situation. One of the big things that I realize with us as a society is that when difficult problems come, and we can sometimes see difficult situations from far away, we're like, we're out of here, we're gone. But Jesus was like, no, I'm gonna face this. I'm going to be the one who is going to walk right into this path and allow it to just come at me. He wasn't fearful of these demon-possessed men, because the thing is, these demon-possessed men saw Jesus as a light, and they were running to that light. They were imprisoned in darkness. They were in the depths of death by living in a tomb, and they were just scarred up, having shackles on their feet from being bound, because there was no way of controlling them. And when you think about people who are out of their mind, mentally, emotionally, they are spiritually out, it's so hard to think of them as being anything than the state that they're in. We sometimes dehumanize them. They're beasts, right? Or monsters. But Jesus had so much compassion over them. He looked at them and saw them desiring to be set free, which is why they ran to the light. They ran to Jesus because they were looking for release. They were looking for someone to unleash them and to bridge the gap that was created from whatever sin, whatever torment, whatever devices these demons were holding onto them. And Jesus looked at them with so much compassion. And that story to me, when I reference that story, because it was the time in which I started to realize how we are no different. Some of us are demon possessed but look great on the outside. Some of us hide it so well. We've got so much sin, and we can still go to church looking like $1,000,000. And some of us are just beaten and worn out for all of the things that are going on in our life, and we feel that we just have no way out. The encouragement to you is that you can be a bridge maker still, by not looking at these people as they are, but as they could be. And I know that's hard to do. And I speak for myself. Sometimes it's really hard, and do not get me wrong. I am not referencing the individuals that are unwilling to work on their behavior. I'm talking about individuals that have a deep desire to change and are looking and are seeking. And to me, those are the ones in which we have an opportunity to bridge the gap with. So I'm going to segue from this by sharing a little bit of my testimony, because ever since this situation had happened, this has been literally the foundation on how I deal with everyone in my life now. Because I've fully experienced God's incredible love in restoration, in bridging, in healing. And when you experience that, that's what you want with everybody. And it's unfortunate because it's not going to be with everyone. I'm just going to be honest with you. You're not going to experience it with everybody, but if you are able to be a bridge maker, it's on another level the most beautiful thing that you can inculcate in your life. And so I'm going to tell you guys my story, but in the process I'm going to tell you how not to be a gap creator. So basically, when I was in Korea, I was dealing with a situation where my friend and I ended up drifting apart because of another person who put a wedge between us and caused some drama. And unfortunately, in life, that happens with people. And so after we separated, she reached out to me and wanted to connect. And I was being a little petty, I'm not going to lie. I wanted to hang on to a little bitterness and wanted to kind of, dig it in a little, And God spoke to me and said, Pearl, you're being petty. You need to stop. And I just was like, okay, you're right. He said, go talk to her. So I prayed about it. I repented for the way I was treating my friend. And I said, okay, let's talk. And she asked to go out to lunch. That was the best thing that she did, is we talked about it in person. This was not done over the phone. Now, for those of you that have a situation where you're too far apart, talking on the phone may be the best way of dealing with conflicts. But we ended up meeting in person. And then after that, we were able to listen to each other. We were able to tell each other our grievances. We were able to discuss the entirety of the situation from her perspective of what had happened and from my perspective on what had happened, and how the misunderstandings and how the perception of how things played out appeared from my perspective and from hers. And another way on not being a gap creator is listen. Allow yourself to hear each other out. We have a terrible tendency to interrupt in our conversations with each other. We want to get our word in without really hearing the other person. Listen to what the other person has to say and really hear their heart. When my friend poured her heart out and just told me how much the relationship mattered to her and how devastated she was that all of these things that she had done to try to protect me from the other person and how it ended up looking from my end had hurt me, she was broken up about it. And and when I saw how much she valued my friendship, I couldn't really be angry. I found myself having deep compassion, having deep sympathy over how I responded to her wanting to reconcile, and me apologizing in my behavior, but also letting her see from my perspective of how I got hurt, and seeing her respond by hearing me and affirming out my experience. and understanding it from my perspective. That is what we can do. And the thing is, we're not on the same page in terms of our religious beliefs. We're just two humans trying to bridge a relationship. And I'm telling you, as of right now, that was the most beautiful reconciliation I had ever experienced. And what makes me so sad is that not enough of it happens in the church. We, as bodies of believers, need to be able to truly reconcile and truly forgive, that we can set those experiences and forgive and forget. Ever since that situation, I have literally used that as my litmus test with people. If I love you, I will confront you. Okay, I hope you heard that. If I love you, I will confront you. And I'm not saying that if I don't love you, I won't confront you. But if I've seen characteristics that I'm just like, you know, like I've seen other people, maybe I've observed other people confront this person and that person didn't have a good reaction, or they were very combative, I might step away and be like, oh, I don't know if I could even say anything to that person, because I've seen how they treat other people. And unfortunately, not everybody reacted, you know, the same. And that's okay, because what I realized is I spoke my truth, and sometimes you can be disagreeable. Now, we talked about that. And in your disagreeableness, as long as you're doing it in love, and your purpose in this is to be a bridge maker, God can use that to still bless others. And I definitely have seen it happen. Like, I don't hold grudges on others. If I'm willing to apologize where I'm wrong. And that's another thing that's really important, is if you want to stop being a gap creator, be willing to apologize. I cannot understand why it is so difficult for us to say I'm sorry. To say, I'm wrong, I made a mistake, I may have perceived this incorrectly. That is so humbling. And when you think of the gospel, as for my believers out there, when you think of the gospel, that is a trait that we actually need to have. God cannot work with a person who can never say they're sorry, because what you're telling God is you did nothing wrong. Understand that the gospel says that God is righteous, we're not, that God is right, we're wrong. I don't know how that could be made any clearer. We have to get used to being wrong and be okay with being wrong, because that is part of the sinful nature that we have, is that yes, we're going to wrong each other sometimes, intentional or not intentional. And regardless of whether it's intentional or not, we can still apologize, because it hurts somebody. If it hurts somebody, we can't we can't sit there and negate the hurt that they felt. You know what I'm saying? Like, we have to be willing to say, you know what, yeah, I did hurt you, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm sorry that my word hurt you, I never meant to. I want you to know that from my point of view, I never meant to do that, but because it hurt you, I'm so deeply sorry. Like, we have to be willing to affirm that sometimes our actions may appear hurtful for someone else, even if it doesn't appear hurtful to us from our perspective. And the other thing is the sensitivity aspect of it. I know, like, we get our society today, it's like everything is all politically correct. No, I mean, I'm not getting to this, please don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm not saying that, oh, we need to tailor to everybody's feelings. No. What I'm saying is that we need to respect a person's perspective if what you said was hurtful. Truth or not, but if it was hurtful for them, we need to be okay with saying, you know what, well, I'm sorry that I hurt your feelings, but I'm standing on my truth. That's okay. Like, you know, and there has to be a way of bridging standing for the truth and being respectful, but also acknowledging that maybe what you say or what you do may have hurt somebody, and still being able to bridge the gap in love. Like, that may seem so complicated to do, and I get it, but through training and through prayer and through trusting in God, He will give you that wisdom to do that, because I feel like God has done that for me. He can do that for you. And I'm not sitting here saying I have all of the interpersonal relationships figured out. No, because there are some people that you're going to do these things and try to not be a gap creator with, and they're the ones who are going to perpetuate the gap, not you. The thing is, as long as you are being true to your motives and through your intentions of not being a gap creator, then the fault's not with you. You know, God told us that we are meant to be bridge makers, and I totally believe that, and I know we're all capable of it, but we have to be willing to surrender ourselves and let God work through us and let ourselves be used by Him. But before I quickly go, I wanted to share this one last thing. I remember, probably dating myself, but when I had MySpace, there was this guy who I had dated when I was in high school, and he had really played with my heart. And he ended up messaging me and apologizing. I was really taken aback by it in a nice way, like, whoa, I'm surprised you're contacting me, but it was also, wow, this is so refreshing, like, and so mature of this person to do. And I realized we don't know where everybody's at in their walk. And maybe one day somebody's going to come back and say, hey, you know, I just wanted to say I was sorry I treated you this way. And it's not too late for us to do that too. If you're convicted of having hurt somebody, please reach out to them and just apologize. You may never know what healing you could do for that person. And with that, I pray, may you live, thrive, and be healthy. God bless, guys. And don't forget to subscribe to check out the next few videos and series coming soon. Bye.